Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is the second part of the series of the basic bodice pattern we are drafting for the different sizes. We started with drafting the basic bodice for an extra small size, and in today's tutorial we'll be drafting the basic bodice for a small size. So if you haven't seen the first tutorial, the link to that video will be in the description. What I'm sharing is the basics from where you can create whatever design or style you want. So feel free to make any alterations and experiment. On the guideline, which will serve as my shoulder line, I will mark half of my shoulder measurement of 7 inches, and on the same line I will mark 2.5 inches for my neck width and 3 inches for the neck depth, and I'll square out these points. With my tape on the shoulder line on half of my shoulder, I will go down 1.75 inches for my shoulder slope. I'll connect this point back to the neckline and draw in my neck curve. With my tape still on the shoulder line of half of my shoulder, I will come down 7.5 inches for my armhole or bust level, and I'll square out this point. I'll find the midpoint from my shoulder slope point to the bust level. I will square out this point, and this line becomes my chest level. On the chest line, I will place my front chest measurement or armpit to armpit measurement. The difference between half shoulder to armpit measurement for a standard sleeveless top should not be more than 1 inch. On the bust level, I will place 1/4 of my bust measurement. Then I will borrow ½ inch from the bust measurement of the back bodice for bust easing, because we are more fuller in the front. This ½ inch will be minus from the bust measurement of the back when drafting the back bodice. With these 3 points, I will draw in my front armhole curve. With my tape placed on the shoulder line, I will come down 9.5 inches for my bust point, and I'll square it out a little. With my tape placed on the bust level, I will come down 2.5 inches for my bust dart level, and I'll square it down. With my tape placed on the bust dart level, I will go down 1 inch for my standard dart intake, and on the bust point level, I will place half of my bust span of 3.5 inches. I will mark ½ inch away from the bust span and connect the dart legs, so that when I sew close this dart, it will not fall directly on the tip of my bust. With my tape placed on the shoulder line, I will go down 15 inches for my front half length, and I'll square out this point. On this line, I will place half of my bust span of 3.5 inches, and I'll connect it to the point on the bust point. I'll place ½ inch on both sides of this line for my dart intake and draw in my dart legs. On the waistline, I'll place 1/4 of the waist measurement plus 1 inch dart plus 0.25 inch for ease. I'll close the bust dart and draw in my side seam. If you do not close your bust dart before drawing this line, you will have shortage of fabric when you sew close your dart. On the center front of our bodice on the waistline, I will come down 0.25 inch for stomach ease. I'll close the waist dart, and I'll connect this point back to the waistline using the slight curved side of my ruler. With my tracing wheel, I'll transfer all the lines of the dart through my lines, and that completes the front bodice pattern for a small size. This side will serve as the zip allowance. With my tape placed on the guideline, which is also my shoulder line, I'll place half of my shoulder measurement of 7 inches, and on the same line I'll place the neck width of 2.5 inches, and I'll come down by 1 inch for the neck depth. I'll go ahead and square out this point. With my tape placed on the shoulder line on half of my shoulder, I will go down 1.75 inches for the shoulder slope. I'll connect this point back to the neckline and draw in my back neck curve. With my tape placed on the shoulder line on half of my shoulder, I will come down 9 inches for my back armhole or bust level, and I'll square out this point. I'll find the midpoint from the shoulder slope point to the bust level and square out this point. This line becomes my back chest level. On this line, I will place my back chest or armpit to armpit measurement of 6.5 inches, and on the bust level, I will place 1/4 of the bust measurement minus the ½ inch we borrowed on the front bodice for bust easing, and with these 3 points, I will draw in my back armhole curve. With my tape placed on the shoulder line, I will come down 14 inches for my back half length, and I'll square out the points. On the bust level, I'll place half of my bust span of 3.5 inches, and I'll place this same measurement on the waistline, and I'll connect these 2 points with a straight line. On this line, I will mark ½ inch on both sides for my dart intake and draw in my dart legs. On the waistline, I'll place 1/4 of my waist measurement plus 1 inch dart plus 0.25 inch for ease, and with the slight curved side of my ruler, I will draw in my side seam. To balance up the side seam of our bodies, from the waistline I will go down 1.5 inches, the difference between the front and back armhole level, and I'll square it out. On this new line, I will transfer 1/4 of the waist circumference plus 1 inch dart plus 0.25 inch ease. I will redraw my dart legs and draw in my new side seam. I'll go ahead and measure the side seam of the front and the back to see if they correspond. On the front we have 6.5 inches, while on the back we also have 6.5 inches, so we are good to go. On the center back, I will go up by ½ an inch to remove any bulge or fold, and with my dart closed, I will connect this point back to the waistline using the slight curved side of my ruler. With my tracing wheel, I will transfer all the lines of the darts and trim my lines. And that completes the pattern drafting of the basic back bodice for a small size. In case of any excess around the armhole, here is how to remove it without contouring. Draw 2 short lines in a V of about 1 or 1.5 inches in length, as you see me doing in the video. The space between these 2 lines should not be more than 0.25 inch. These 2 lines will be closed permanently, and then you go in and redraw your armhole curve. This should be done on the back pattern as well. On the back pattern, just repeat the same thing you did on the front and reshape your armhole. And that's all there is to this pattern. I will label this pattern, cut it out, and we will try it out to see how it fits. I have cut out the pattern without the armhole modification. Now I'm not saying there's going to be gaping around the armhole, but the possibilities are there because we are all shaped differently. I will label this one without modification, then I'll close in that gap and cut out another one. I have pin closed the gap, that is if you have any, and cut out a new one. And please, when you're cutting this on your fabric, make sure you fill in every space on the pattern with your hand and pin on your fabric before cutting. So you just follow it the way I'm illustrating in the video, because when you do this little modification, your pattern is going to be slightly flat. I'll go ahead and stitch this up and I'll show you what our pattern looks like with and without armhole modification. So here is what our pattern looks like with the armhole modification and without the armhole modification. The armhole modification is for anyone who might experience it because we are all shaped differently. Aside that, this pattern sits perfectly on the body. You can barely tell the difference between the modified armhole and the non-modified armhole. And with this method of pattern drafting, you will not experience your dresses rolling backwards. So guys, that's all I have for you. If you find this video helpful, please do not forget to give me a thumbs up, share, leave all your questions in the comments, and if you try this pattern as a small size person and it worked for you, please do leave me a feedback, and I'll see you guys in my next one. A bientôt!